Hello guys, and welcome to my preview of the upcoming weekend action. My name is Izzy. If you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and hit that like button to let YouTube and everybody else know that you are enjoying this content. We are going to start off this weekend's predictions with Luton Town hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Luton Town are coming off of a very good victory against Everton, a 2-1 away victory, Luton's first in the Premier League history. Now, they are going to be hosting a Tottenham Hotspur side who themselves are coming off of a 2-1 victory against Liverpool that was marred in controversy based off of the red cards that had occurred and also based off of an own goal and a disallowed goal by Luis Diaz that has been the talk of the town ever since then. Now, in this game, I have Tottenham winning this game 2-0. Simply because I just think Tottenham are far too strong for Luton. Despite a very good performance against Everton, I think that Tottenham are on the crest of a wave, and the confidence that they will have earned from breaking their duck against Liverpool, who they hadn't beaten for a very long time, is probably going to spur them on to a victory. Now, I think Luton Town can cause Tottenham some problems. Them being at home should give them a little bit more impetus and a chance to move forward and be more comfortable, because if this game was probably at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it would be a bloodbath. But I think Tottenham are going to have enough nous to get through this game. Madison and co should be able to take care of Luton Town fairly easily. But we all know what happens in football. When you just think that it is easy enough, maybe Luton Town might surprise us. I don't think so, however. Next up, we have Fulham hosting Sheffield United. Fulham had just come off of a 2-0 loss to Chelsea, a game that I thought that they would be able to cause Chelsea a lot more problems, especially being that they had beaten them at Craven Cottage the previous season. Meanwhile, Sheffield United have been having a torrid time of it lately, and they just are in need of motivation. This game I have being a 1-1 draw. I think that Fulham are probably the better side of the two, and they have been flattering to deceive at moments this season. But I do think that Sheffield United are going to have some fight in them in this game. Sheffield United's record against Fulham is not terribly bad in the last few seasons. However, some of those games came in the championship, so it's kind of hard to look at that and compare them to their Premier League history. But I do think that they should be able to try and earn a 1-1 draw. It's about time that they show something off of the performances that they had prior to the 8-0 thumping that they had to Newcastle. They need something that will give them more confidence, and Fulham being a mid-table side is one of those games that you would hope that one of the three bottom sides would be able to try and see as a potential win. I do think that Fulham are going to be the stronger in this game, but with confidence that is low in Sheffield United, they need to be able to try and score because that has been a problem for them this season. And despite some very good defensive showings, like, for example, against Manchester City, you can see that they just fell apart in their next few games. And they are due some points. And I think that Fulham is a place right now where they might be able to try and get one of those points. So I have this game ending 1-1. Next up, we have Chelsea traveling to Burnley, a game that I am predicting to go 2-1 to Chelsea. Now, I've said before that I seem to still think of Chelsea as the old side that they had been in previous seasons. But I do think that they might be able to win this game because Burnley are not the Burnley of old. They're not going to have a lot of defensive rigidity because they try to play through a lot of teams. But I do think that Chelsea are going to have a little bit of a confident booster based off of their win at Craven Cottage. It was much needed for a squad that was very low in confidence. They did seem to play very well, and they will be welcoming back Nicholas Jackson in this game, so they will have a stronger focal point in attack. And Armando Broja did a very good job there when he played against Fulham. I do think that the likes of Sterling and the likes of Mudryk are now starting to gain more confidence in the wings. And I just think that overall Chelsea need to start building a little bit more off of what that victory had given them last Monday. And in this game, I have them winning it 2-1. And that is because I think Burnley are too precocious in their attack. They are still trying to build an identity in a Premier League that is very unforgiving this season, especially to the three promoted sides. And as such, I have Chelsea winning this game 2-1. And then over to Old Trafford. Old Trafford is having a lot of problems right now. Manchester United lost to Galatasaray in the league, and they have now lost 3 out of their last 4 league matches. Brentford are not faring any much better themselves. They have not won any of their last 5 games, and things are looking a little bit thick for Brentford. They are a side that should be a comfortable mid-table side, but something is just not clicking in their squad right now. And then you have Manchester United, on the other hand, who are having a lot of squad problems. There's a lot of low confidence in the team. The midfield looks as though it's in disarray. Casemiro is not reprising the same form that he had for Real Madrid, which is understandable. He is now over 30, and so you would expect him to be on the decline, but they're not giving him enough protection in that midfield as well. And so when you see them lose to Crystal Palace and then you see them lose to Galatasaray, much in the same fashion as they have been losing to other teams this season, there's a lot to be worried about. Not to mention all the drama that's going on between Ten Hag and Sancho. Man United need to get themselves in order. I do think that this game might be one of those games that they should be able to beat Brentford. Stranger things have happened, but Brentford do have a poor record against Manchester United, despite that 4-0 victory at the Community Stadium last season. Brentford are also in pretty poor form themselves, and I do think that this is the type of game where you would see somebody like a Bruno Fernandes be able to take control of the game and shine. And we need to see a little bit more of Marcus Rashford. I haven't spoken about him this season yet, and he needs to step up a little bit more. His play on the wings has not been awful, but he has not been consistent enough so far this season. So I'm going to have Manchester United winning this game 2-1, but they need to improve their gameplay, and they need to do a lot more than what they have been doing in previous games. They need to take control of that midfield and establish something much different than what they've been doing, especially trying to play Sofiane Amrabat in the left back position, which it seems as though they are trying to do the fashionable thing, which is what Manchester City have done with Bernardo Silva, which is what Arsenal tried to do with Thomas Partey, and Manchester United are just not suitable to that level of play. And Ten Hag seems to be running out of ideas right now, and so do Manchester United's board and definitely the Glazers. And there's not much moving as far as their sale. You keep on hearing rumors about Ratcliffe putting in bids to buy the club, and you keep on hearing about the Qatari bid, but nothing seems to be coming off of it. And the more this conjecture continues, the more Manchester United are not going to perform on the field. Next up, we have Everton against Bournemouth. Everton, I had tipped last week to beat Luton Town at home. I thought that playing back at Goodison Park is going to be a tonic for them, especially since they had just gotten a crucial 3-1 victory away to Brentford. But Everton just reverted back to being the Everton that we have seen for most of this season. They were very poor in their attack. They were bereft of confidence, and they just didn't seem to know how to play against a Luton Town team that, let's be honest, has been struggling for most of this season in accordance with all the other promoted teams. And the fact that they were down to lose that game is very damning of what Everton have been so far this season. They host a Bournemouth side that have not covered themselves in glory as well. One of only 2 teams to so far not win a league match this season. They lost 4-0 at home to Arsenal, which Arsenal dominated that game pretty much from start to finish, and they didn't seem to have to get out of third gear. So Bournemouth are going to have to do something a little bit more different. In this game, they have the opportunity to beat an Everton side that is very poor at home. Now, I initially had this game down for a 1-0 Bournemouth victory, but I'm going to now have it as a 1-1 draw, simply because I think Bournemouth are not strong enough to impose themselves on Everton, and Everton are clearly not strong enough to impose themselves on Bournemouth as well. Everton have done poorly in the most recent 6-pointer. I'm going to give them a little bit more confidence in this game. I think they might be able to get a draw. They really should be going for a victory, but a 1-1 draw is what I have in future for them. Next up, we have Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest. Now, Crystal Palace are coming off of a very good 1-0 victory against Manchester United, and they will be hoping to carry more of that form into this game. They had lost 3-0 to them in the League Cup a few days earlier, but they turned on Roy Hodgson's charm at Old Trafford, and he is now 5 games unbeaten visiting Old Trafford. That is a very good record for a visiting manager to one of the most daunting historical grounds in English football. Now they face Nottingham Forest, and this game I actually have them losing 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. Forest is a team that I have been impressed with this season, and I always look forward to watching their games simply because of the way they play. They tend to play very much with a low block, and they're very lightning quick in counterattacking the sides that they're facing, especially when they have corner kicks or when they have free kicks in their own half. So I have them winning this game 2-1. Roy Hodgson is a manager who knows how to shape his sides against the top teams. I do think that the fact that Nottingham Forest are going to be willing to play on the back foot in this game is probably going to make Crystal Palace confused. And I'm going to go and have them winning this game 2-1. I won't be surprised if it ends in a draw, but I'm going to stick with the fact that I think Nottingham Forest know how to play against the mid-table sides, and more power to them. 2-1 to them this week. And then on to the tasty fixtures. We have Brighton against Liverpool, a game that I am going to predict to be a 3-2 victory for Brighton. Liverpool, we know, have had a controversial set of decisions going against them this week. The red cards, the denied goal, and the own goal right at the end of the game, which unfortunately fell to Matip. And man, you just have to have some sympathy for him, especially after how valiant Liverpool were in defending that 1-1 draw as it was at the time. I have them losing this game 3-2 to a Brighton side who had gotten absolutely shellacked by Aston Villa the week before. And I just think that Brighton is one of those teams that know how to play against the top teams when they are faced against very strong oppositions. I think that they might be able to exploit Liverpool's midfield problems, because I still do think that Liverpool missing that concrete number 6 is going to hamper them in games such as these. And Brighton will have off days like that. I can recall last season them getting thwacked 5-1 at home to an Everton side when I had given them absolutely no chance in beating Brighton that day. So Brighton are good for one of those absolute shockers of games. I don't think that this one will be one of those. I think Brighton will be ripped and ready for them, and especially with the game being at the Amex, I think that Brighton will be able to score goals. I think Liverpool are also very good for goals, and so I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I am going to give it 3-2 to Brighton. I think that Liverpool might be licking their wounds a little bit longer after last debacle at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then another wonderful game is going to be West Ham against Newcastle. Now, this game I have going 2-2. I initially had Newcastle winning the game 2-1, but I do think that West Ham have been having a very good run of fixtures. They just won the other day in Europe. And so I think that they are going to be able to bring that form into the league. And the game being in the London Stadium, I think West Ham are going to be good for a draw. Newcastle have been having a whirlwind of confidence coming off of the previous few games. They beat Manchester City in the League Cup, and then they had that huge win against Sheffield United. And then they followed that up with a very comfortable home win last week. And to make it even better, they beat the brakes off of PSG in a game that was their first Champions League home game in over 20 years. And it's just wonderful to see Newcastle coming back to the team that they were last season. But in this game, I think it's going to be a very tough Premier League fixture for them. And as such, I have them drawing 2-2. And I will say that I did change my prediction from it being a 2-1 victory, because I think that West Ham at home will be able to show a little bit more of themselves. Paquetá has been playing very well. They will be missing Antonio in this game. He is a doubt. He might play, but I think he's a doubt, and that's probably going to take a focal point off of the team. But Newcastle are playing with a lot of confidence. But I still have it as a 2-2 draw. These games are very hard to call this week. So this is one of them that I was teetering back and forth between a draw and a Newcastle victory. And then we have a Midlands derby when Wolves take on Aston Villa. Aston Villa beat the daylights out of Brighton last week, and that is a result that's going to give them unbounded confidence as they come in to face Wolves. However, Wolves beat the Premier League treble winners. And so that is going to give them a lot of confidence. The game is going to be at Molineux, and as such, I will have Wolves winning this game 1-0. Wolves also have a very good recent record against Aston Villa, despite the fact that this is a totally different Aston Villa from the one that Wolves had been playing previously. And also with the fact that Wolves were a much better side in seasons gone past. Aston Villa have been trying to reestablish themselves back in the league, first under Dean Smith, and then under Steven Gerrard, and now under Unai Emery, who is very tactically adept and I think is just under the cusp of the top 3 managers of the league. I think that he's right there, and with the squad that he has, I can easily see them finishing in Europe again this season. But in this game, I think that Wolves being at home will be able to cause them a lot more problems. Aston Villa against another Derby rival the game is going to be a lot more tense than you would think it's supposed to be. And despite them beating Brighton 6-1 last week in what was kind of an unexpected huge result, I still see them struggling against Wolves. And I think that the wing play from Pedro Neto and the attacking threat of Cunha is going to cause them some problems. So I have this game ending 1-0 to Wolves. And then finally, we have Arsenal against Manchester City, a fixture that is emotionally and mentally racking for me, being an Arsenal fan. We have had a mental block against Manchester City for the better part of the last 6 or 7 years. We haven't beaten them in the league since 2015, and we have lost almost all the fixtures in the league against them since 2017. And Arsenal are now going to have to show themselves as true title contenders. Last season was unexpected in how emotional Arsenal was in trying to secure the first title in 20 plus years. But this week is going to be important, not only just for the result, but to show that Arsenal can actually compete with City. And that's because when you see all the other top rivals, they have all beaten City at some point. Manchester United, despite all of their failings since 2013, have once in a while shown that they can beat City. And you've seen them even do the double over them when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was their manager. They have not beaten Tottenham Hotspur in their new stadium since the construction of the stadium. They have also lost to Liverpool, who have been their most consistent rivals over the last few seasons. They've even lost to Newcastle in the league, and this was, I think, under Rafa Benitez. So Arsenal, having had such a long run of losses against Manchester City, is probably a bit of a mental block in the sense that Arsenal have been trailing behind the top teams in the last 10 to 15 years in trying to push on to that extra edge, whether it was under Arsene Wenger or the brief stint under Unai Emery and now under Mikel Arteta. But we are on the rise. And if Arsenal want to prove themselves to not only the league, but to themselves, that they are able to challenge City, they need to break that mental duck of beating them in a strong competitive match. And the FA Cup win a few years ago was good, but that was a game that was a very strong, rigid, defensive, gutsy, counterattack-minded game. But when they are now trying to go toe-to-toe against City because they play the same brand of football, they are going to need to win this game. My prediction was initially a 2-1 victory to Arsenal, but the more I sat back and thought about how the teams are going to line up, I am going to have this game as a 2-2 draw, being the final game before the international break. If Arsenal do get that victory, it is going to give them a lot of confidence to try and fight through the rest of this season, because they are expected to be City's major rivals based off of their form last season. However, I do think Liverpool have something very strong to say about that. But I do think that they need to win this game, not only for their own confidence, but to also show the league that they are genuinely in the same bracket as City as far as trying to go for the title. Now, do I think they have a better team than City? No. I still think that City are the standard bearers when it comes to their transfer policy, standard bearers when it comes to how intense they are in all competitions in the league. And I think that Manchester City are the standard bearers when it comes to the epitome of what football is at this moment. But I still do think that Arsenal are on the up and up. And even a draw would not be the worst thing for Arsenal, mentally speaking, in the sense that they will now finally break that long run of losses in the league. Now, I would be absolutely over the moon if we beat them this weekend, but it's almost like trying to catch the boogeyman and throwing him out of the house. You have to face him and go toe to toe with him. So here's to an Arsenal victory if it's able to happen. But if not, I will settle for a draw. That's all I got for right now, guys. What do you think? Who's going to come out as the victor in the Arsenal and Manchester City game? And who between West Ham, Newcastle, Brighton, and Liverpool is going to show the other up? Let me know in the comments down below. It's been your boy Izzy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody who's subscribed. I love you guys. Peace.